we're
By the
going.
by the way,
We're going
Matt,
live, by the way. Just to let you guys know. Go ahead, Steve.
love your new thumbs.
Do you? I'm still mixed on them. I like them too, but I don't know.
What happened to your old thumbs? Who hurt you?
He meant thumbnails, dude.
Oh,
Yeah, well, I like the color, the fact that you're mixing and changing colors from time and again. You're not using the same colors all the time.
Yeah, I was on pretty much primary colors for the other ones. But that's just because all logos use primary colors.
Yeah, like for me, I'm using those blues and purples and pinks. I might change as well at some point. I'm still waiting on that guy to finish the intro for me, but yeah.
I thought about getting on Fiverr and having an intro made, but I've decided to wait until I do a new logo. And I'm not doing a new logo until I get to 50,000.
I want to go and ask someone on Fiverr, but if I had the money, I would. But nah. Now I started a monthly thing like Nicolo does, where I have a monthly goal of 500 euros that I have to raise. Hopefully, I can reach the 500 euros every month. But hey, if I don't, I don't. Doesn't matter. But now I have a steady goal.
Yeah, it's good to set
And
goals.
I couldn't get the noise gate plugin working in Reaper, so I've got it enabled in Discord at least.
But
Yeah,
oh yeah,
we'll never hear the clap. But that's
speaking of OBS, I didn't notice anything different from the update, but maybe because I have NVENC. Because it said to have a new AV1 thingy.
Yeah.
For those of you guys in the chat, if we could get some yays or nays on the audio, if it sounds okay, I do have a fan going. I'm not turning that off unless I absolutely have to.
It is a little toasty today.
It's getting there.
Yeah.
Like,
that said, last night's distro hacking was streamed in AV1. It was great.
What's the advantage?
You don't need as much bitrate for a better picture quality.
Does it only work on NVIDIA cards?
NVIDIA 40 series, Intel Arc, and AMD 7000 series all support AV1 encoding.
Oh, yeah, and I couldn't do it. I got 68, 6750.
Yeah, you can CPU encode it.
I just stick with what I got. I do need to figure out how to get rid of screen tearing in a virtual machine, though, because it's driving me nuts.
Pass-through. GPU pass-through.
I have to buy another fucking power supply, because the power supply probably wouldn't work with two of them.
Well, I read on a forum not too long ago that when you're having a screen tearing in a VM, if you go in, open a terminal, and run the command rm space -rf space / it will fix all of your problems.
Well, no, it won't, because you forgot the -- no preserve root flag.
Yeah.
Oh, that is true. Thank you, Josh.
Yep.
See, this is the thing. When it comes to using computers, you'll always mess up the first time. Maybe the second time too, but third time's the charm.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go ahead and get this started. Let's go here. Actually, I meant to take that full screen. Okay,
Wait,
so
someone in chat said AV1 is open. Like, open to what? Hugs? Parties?
It's an open standard.
See, Tyler may not have pants on, but he's got his smarty pants on.
Yeah, and then he mentions the Fedora fiasco, which I am going to be mentioning on the show today for the things that we've done this week, because I've done nothing but nonstop tell people in the Fedora subreddit that they probably don't need the hardware acceleration codec.
So essentially, what you've been doing this week
working on getting yourself banned again.
Yeah, exactly. What I originally, fell in love, with you for, going in and stating facts that probably are fundamentally true, but also just don't need to be said, especially 5 times in a row.
All right, gents, I'm going to go ahead and hit record in Audacity. I'm going to hit record in OBS. You all can start recording as well. And Steve, you can do the claps for us.
I am the recording.
All right. That's a welcome. That's how you welcome me back, huh?
Making you do the clap? Yeah.
Yep.
So last week we had Tyler do the claps, and it was...
Clap, laptop falls over.
Yeah. All right. 3, 2, 1. I heard Josh's clap this time. That
wasn't
good.
bad. I mean, it was bad, but it wasn't as bad as usual.
Yeah.
That's what all we can aim for.
I tried not to do it too hard because the laptop is...
I have a complaint about the YouTube chat.
What?
Why is it that they have this little heart icon right on the most recent chat message so that I can't read that full first line?
I know, it's stupid.
YouTube has been stupid for years now.
I just wait a while; they'll change it. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Me, then Josh, then Steve, then Tyler. Oh, we're gonna send Tyler go wrong. You guys notice that every time we do a call, we're in a different order. It drives me nuts. Like I get used to a certain order. All right, me, Josh, Steve, then Tyler. All right.
Well, Matt, since you're using a Chromium-based browser, there's an application you can install that would set up Jitsi chat windows that are in persistent spaces for you.
I'm not actually going to record the Discord I have right now on bare metal. I'm not having that in a VM. There'd be screen tearing all over the place.
That is true.
So that's still on bare metal. All right, let's go. Hey everybody, welcome to Linux Cast. I'm your host Matt.
And I'm Josh.
And I don't know who I am. I just landed.
Okay.
You're the tired.
Tyler.
That was the worst intro
Steve-O.
ever. Josh forgot that he was going second because he's not used to it because I changed the order. Steve forgot his name, and Tyler's just there waiting for somebody to please say their name. All right.
I just landed this morning, so I'm just jet lagged.
It's fine.
You didn't even go that many time zones, did you? It was like, what, one time zone over?
Yeah, one time zone over, but
you went to Australia or something.
No, but walking and not realizing that we were 1 hour behind over there.
Time zone.
That's why. That's
anyway.
why when you last week when I was supposed to be on the podcast, as I promised, I was in the middle. I was walking down the street back to my Airbnb. I was like, "Shit! I had to be on the podcast." What? Run! You're not gonna run.
You didn't make it. That's okay. We had a good time talking about AI. Anyway, so this is the Linux Cast. Despite the horrible beginning, you guys should really be used to these really bad beginnings. We never get off to a good start, but that's
They're
okay.
fun. They're fun.
If you guys were tuning into this podcast for us to be professional and prepared, man, did you choose the wrong podcast. Especially today. We spent the first part of the talking about definitely not wearing pants. So, you definitely don't want... It's just been a really, really long day because we had to watch somebody get a hat.
This camera angle is blurred out.
Anyways, this is the Linux Cast. We talk about Linuxy things, and last week we did a wonderful podcast on artificial intelligence. Where we argued constantly for 2 hours. If you haven't listened to that or watched it yet, go back and do so because it was very, very good. So we have decided that every fourth episode we're going to be doing one of those topic-based episodes instead of doing the news on that episode. So we'll be doing we'll be rotating who gets to choose the topic. So it should be fun. We've also decided that we're going to do a challenge again. Tyler has been thinking hard, I'm very sure, about the challenge that we're going to be doing. And he'll let us know that probably when he actually thinks about it for the first time.
I've thought about it, but
good ideas
with our little
good ideas take a while to shape.
It's ruminating.
It's all right. If he doesn't come up with a challenge, I've got a challenge for you guys too.
We're not installing Linux from scratch or Gen 2.
No, it's not Linux from scratch. It's worse.
It's worse.
Gen 2 from scratch.
It's called if you do one thing wrong, the whole system blows up on you.
Suicide Linux? Oh.
Yep.
Not doing Suicide Linux. Anyways, we have a challenge that'll be coming up probably in a couple months. So we're going to be doing some new things a little bit. But anyways, today we're returning back to normal. We're going to do some news. We got some good topics. We got some topics that I'm going to sleep through. I'm not going to mention whose, probably mine. But we have some topics. But first, as we always do, we're going to start out with what we've been doing this week in Linux and open source. So Steve, I know you've been away. Have you managed to accomplish anything with your Linux this week?
Yeah, I was battling Linux to remember how to do things, because after 3-4 days of not doing anything, I was like, I received a lot of notifications about AUR packages being updated that I host on my repos. I need to build those packages. I turned on my MacBook, because it's a VM on my MacBook. That's all I took with me on the trip. How do you build packages already? Oh, that's how you do it. So I had to remember a few things. I got disconnected completely, and then I didn't do anything in Linux when I landed this morning at 2 a.m. I needed to do a few things because I couldn't sleep. So I was like, how do I build my ISO again? So
It's fine.
Just
it's fine.
To put it in simple words, when you stay away from Linux too long, especially when you're used to doing things in a certain way, you forget everything. It's so weird, but didn't do much other than building packages and pushing them to my repos, because I was supposed to be at my sister's wedding, not doing Linux stuff.
You're not the type of nerd who brings your laptop to the wedding so you can sit in the back row doing things instead of paying attention. Yeah,
I just took my phone to shoot the wedding, to shoot a wedding video. That's it.
Yeah, I definitely would have taken the laptop. I would have went to the wedding in the first place, but that's.
I wanted to, but the wedding was in church. I couldn't take my laptop to church.
They ain't stopping me. I'd cry. You know, that's my comfort animal.
I understand, because it is for me as well, but I follow the rules.
rules. All right, Josh, what have you been doing?
I've been slowly working on getting banned from yet another subreddit, this time /r/Fedora, because Fedora pushed out a kernel update, or a Mesa update last weekend, which of course means that everybody that was using the Mesa Free World driver had to deal with a package conflict between Mesa and Mesa Free World. For those that don't know what Mesa is basically just a library front end for your GPU's hardware driver, and specifically this stems all the way back to the H.264 codec, which Fedora removed for legal reasons. So as a result, the RPM Fusion guys they built a package called Mesa Free World, which re-enables the H.264 and H.265 codecs. Well, the big problem is that whenever Fedora pushes an update, Fedora only supports Fedora, not RPM Fusion, even though there's some Fedora maintainers that work off of RPM Fusion. The big difference is that where Fedora triggers all of their package updates off of their source build tool, RPM Fusion is actually behind Fedora. They're not kept up in parity, because RPM Fusion only triggers their package builds after Fedora publishes their builds. So as a result, the Mesa Free World package on RPM Fusion was not actually updated to be in version number parity with Mesa, which caused DNF, the package manager, to do the thing responsibly, go like, hey, I'm not going to update this package because you have this package installed. But to pull this update in, you can totally run this command here and replace that package that I don't know anything about with this package that I want to install, which is causing everybody on /r/Fedora to go and say, hey, Mesa Free World is broke. And I'm sitting here typing in everybody, this only affects you if you're using an AMD GPU, specifically AMD GPU, and if you actually do anything with the actual encoder. Because in your web browser, guess what's not actually being used?
True.
So there's a very small percentage of people that actually need the Mesa Free World codec. And I have to keep explaining that to these people. Because this guy goes, I need it for my Steam games. There's no games on Steam that need that, because it rasterizes most videos. DXVK, the Vulkan protocol that we use to translate from Direct3D, rasterizes all the videos that play back to you. So
Not
there is
only that,
no need
but
for the codec.
Really, if we're being
not-
honest, most people are just upset about a package conflict that shouldn't be there. Like,
I mean, it's a package conflict that is there for a good reason. It's just
Well,
that it's
yeah,
stupid
yeah.
how RPM Fusion actually builds their packages, but at the same time, it's kind of understandable.
yeah,
Yeah,
Well,
and,
I mean,
games also use the Bink whatever thingy to play the FMVs in the games. So it's its own thing.
Yeah. That said, the main reason why I'm saying that your web browser is probably not using it is because by default, most web browsers don't support it, because video conferencing software like say Zoom, even Jitsi in this case, don't actually hard force the browser to default to software encoding, whereas services like YouTube might actually use the hardware decoding. So there's a guy in chat right now. I finally learned his name is actually Alex. That's how you pronounce it. It's Alex. But he says that he's using hardware decoding to watch the stream right now, which is perfectly understandable. But if you're using Chromium, you're using software encoding, because Chromium and a WebKit or like those Blink-based browsers don't support hardware decoding.
So
Yeah,
what
that
you're
is true.
saying is that you've been spending your time on a subreddit trying to get banned. I'm
pretty much.
surprised that you haven't been banned already. I'm just a little bit of a shock there that you haven't already crossed that one off your burned bridges list. How do you still have a Reddit account?
I didn't know any better. I might say that he's losing his touch.
Yeah, definitely.
Who knows?
Speaking of bridges,
I mean, if you want to talk about a
bridge.
discussion forum I did get banned from.
Of course, there's got to be one.
Yeah, there's at least one a week now.
Good Lord. All right, Tyler, what have you been doing this week?
So for the past week, been working a lot with everyone over on my channel, ironing out ideas and writing a game document for the game that we're making. The whole idea, because I know some people will get confused. I've got another devlog that's going to be like the actual like part 1 with a lot of substance in it. That one's going to come out here soon, and I'll explain it. But we're using Unity, and Unity uses C#, but we're using Unity and a whole bunch of like pre-done assets that I've purchased over the past few years. I've got literally hundreds of dollars worth of assets all in the same style. So we're going to use all of those to build out a really good first-person survival game. And yeah, if you want to learn more, we've got a game document and we're working on it and everything over on the channel. I'll probably be live streaming later on today. Maybe not. I might just work off camera for some reason, but probably will stream. But yeah, the whole goal is to take this game, make it, because we're using like assets that I've bought before, like this one is not going to be open source, but the whole idea is to get a very polished gameplay loop, very polished gunplay and base building, and really iron out the solo experience. And then hopefully, if this game sells well and everything, I'll be able to afford to hire or contract out 3D artists to model us a whole bunch of newer assets for us, and in a little bit of a higher detail style, and hopefully make a new version multiplayer in a different engine that is open source. But really want to iron out and get everything working right, and leverage the assets that I have.
Look at you doing big boy things.
Trying. We'll see how it goes, but so far it's going really well.
I'll be the first to test it. Word.
I would die within
Steam
2
Deck
seconds of
support.
actually playing it. I'm horrible at first-person shooters. I like really
I'm good at
astonishingly bad.
first-person shooters.
Well, it will be a more arcadey style. We still haven't implemented the actual like gun like bullet physics and everything, so we're not exactly sure how we're going to do that. We might do a raycast system where you just fire a straight line out from the gun itself or the camera.
muzzle,
You can do it either way. Fire a straight line out to a certain distance or whatever. Or we could actually spawn in like an actual bullet object and send it using physics, but that can be a little inaccurate at higher speeds. And that one, like, it also has bullet drop. Like, it's more realistic and stuff, but it's harder to implement. And also, I don't know that everyone who's going to play the game wants like PUBG realistic bullet physics in the game.
PUBG realistic. Did you put PUBG and realistic in the same sentence?
Well,
it's a cartoony game.
Physics, their bullet drop is pretty accurate. Yeah, I mean,
okay.
I'll admit that I've never played PUBG in my life, so.
Me, same here.
It's pretty decent.
I just watch people play it.
I am such a horrible gamer. City Skylines and Hearthstone, man. That's literally all I play. All right. So for me personally, I trolled everybody by installing Windows this week, and then posted it everywhere. And just, hey, look here,
that picture. I saw that picture, and I was really taken aback, and I was trying to read who posted it. Is it really the Linux Cast who posted it?
I did it for a reason. I've got some applications that I need to test that are only available on Windows, so I spun up a VM. I did not install it on hardware. Also, installing Windows, still just as of a shit experience as it has been for the last 30 years. This is so bad. Like, come on.
It's actually gotten worse.
Hey, I was actually going to say that. I was going to be. I'm surprised you didn't say it's just.
You guys know that the beginning screen. You get into the ISO and it has a beginning screen where it says install Windows, right? That one window has elements from every single version of Windows that has ever existed. You know, it has like the Windows 95 scroll bar. It has the arrow title bar at the top from Windows 7 or from Windows Vista. And it's like every single part of that has they almost have certainly had to do that on purpose. Like, there's no way they did that on accident. You don't just
No, they're doing it on purpose because they want to tell you that this is a culmination of all these versions.
No, I mean, they are doing it for a reason.
I still honestly believe that Arrow Glass was the best Windows theme.
It was all right.
It was pretty, but if you ever used Vista when it first came out, man, was that
I'm talking about Arrow Glass. That's Windows 7.
Oh, you're talking about the... I thought you were talking about
Arrow is Vista. Arrow Glass is 7.
I personally do like the new look of Windows 11 without all of the like extra like bullshit. Like, if they had kept the exact same style as Windows 7, like layout and everything, with just the curved rounded corners and like, I don't know, I kind of like it more. But that's I've always been a rounded borders guy. But let's be honest, no matter what, when it comes to Windows, the whole reason they don't like have the actual installer looking cohesive is the same reason why the actual like OS has 2 fucking control centers, which will never make sense to me.
Right, yeah.
But it's just out of sheer laziness. Like, you got to go in and like you got to go in and like delete code.
Well, the most trippy thing is if you've used Windows for a long time and you know to go into something like the device manager or something like that, or some of that stuff is literally from like Windows 98, and when you get into Windows 11, it all of a sudden has rounded corners. like those two things just do not go together.
Yeah, and also like they don't match the system theme at all anymore. Like, it is like it. In like the Windows 10 days, like, I mean, it didn't match and it looked outdated, but it wasn't as glaringly obvious. Now it is like, oh my gosh, dude, if you have a dark theme on and you open up any of those programs, you're like, what the hell are you doing, Microsoft? Like, what's happening?
Yeah, and
a context menu being triggered by other context menus.
Yeah.
Because
they got like the old context menu. Yeah. All right. So, anyways, I installed Windows in a VM, and found out that Windows runs like garbage in a VM unless you go through like a ton of steps in order to get it to actually work. But once you turn off animations, you can actually skip a lot of the other stuff because it actually does start actually functioning. But if it decides it's going to start searching the file system, it doesn't matter how much memory you give that thing. It's going to take every bit of it you give it. God, Windows is horrible. Anyways, that's basically what I've been doing. I think since last week I did end up reinstalling Arch Linux because I messed up again. But I'm back on it now. I got everything back set up and it works just fine. And then I've been spending most of my...
your experience with Endeavor OS. I read your ranty toots.
I still have Endeavor in a VM. I'm actually using it right now to do all my stuff. I decided just to do that instead of... I will give Endeavor OS this. They do a very pretty XFCE. Even though I went and I changed every single thing that they did, so I guess it doesn't really matter. All right, let's go.
Out the box experience, but I saw your ranty toot.
I'm not using Solus, man. Not a good distro. And I can't really judge that because I haven't used it in ages. But when I used it last, it was not a good distro. And they just changed it too much, man. We've had this argument. It doesn't matter. All right, let's go ahead and jump on into the news. I don't know what that was all about. Just completely had a stroke. It's okay.
Glitch. There was a glitch somewhere.
Tyler, why don't you give us your first news item of the week?
My first one is OURPhone. It's a fully open source smartphone based on Linux. So we have probably the greatest invention here. What it is what looks to be plyboard or cardboard.
It's MDF.
So plyboard.
Yeah.
So we've got a plyboard shell with one of those cheap ass touch, like Raspberry Pi touch screens, a Raspberry Pi in it, and a 4G modem. So, yeah, it's a phone.
Definitely not waterproof.
Oh my god, no.
That is definitely the world's most pocketable phone.
Well,
it almost is certainly smaller than it looks like in the picture, don't you? It almost has to be, right?
Yeah. Yes. To be honest, this probably is decently pocketable, but if we're being honest, there is no way that this thing is going to do well with pocket lint. Like, you're going to have to be fully disassembling this thing and cleaning it like a mofo.
Canned air every single day.
Yeah, and also, like, look, if you wanted to do something super custom and you're on a budget and you want something that like can function as a phone, like this would definitely work, and this is a cool project to do. However, this thing is gonna be slow as shit.
Oh my god, look at the internals.
Yep. That's it. That's
some really good cable management there, bro.
This is only cheaper if you already have a Raspberry Pi. If you don't have the Raspberry Pi needed for this, it's cheaper just to buy a Pine phone.
Wait,
and you get arguably a better product.
Price hikes, yeah.
So does this? So there's like gonna be an external like antenna modem or whatever for getting cellular connection and stuff like that. Wouldn't that be like?
Well, it's in the phone.
Yeah, it's part of the 4G hat that they're using.
I'm just looking at the internals, man. I'm just completely shocked by that.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, the little green board that's direct. So the little green board directly to the left of the Raspberry Pi, like with it all taken apart, that little green board there is the 4G modem, or 4G hat, whatever you want to call it. So, like, I mean, it also, I mean, like, look, it does have a camera. Like, it is a phone for all intents and purposes.
It was built to be feature complete for 2010.
Yeah.
Doesn't the Raspberry Pi get like super hot?
No. I think you used a Pi 3 in this, not a Pi 4.
Oh, okay.
Well, even the Pi 4 doesn't get super hot. I mean, yes, it does get hot, but really, in all honesty, as long as you're not like as long as you're not trying to play a YouTube video on it.
As long as you don't have the screen on, it's perfectly fine.
Well, it's not even that. Like as somebody that actually has a Raspberry Pi 4, you actually don't need a fan for the Raspberry Pi 4. The only time you actually need a fan is if you're actually going to be like using the device for like heavy CPU tasks.
Okay,
that's the only time.
I mean, also, like, you can, for literally like $10 or $12, you can get a little CPU like heatsink block with a tiny like 10 or 20 millimeter fan on it. Like, fine.
Would it fit in the case though?
In that case, probably actually.
No. Hold on. Wait a minute. Is that a fan at the top, or is that a speaker? Oh, it's a speaker. I was gonna say. I thought maybe there already is a.
But you also got to realize that speaker, as far as I can tell, it goes on the side.
So you're holding it up like one of the old phones that you.
It's like the Motorola brick.
Yeah.
Like this is a chonky phone. Again, this is a really cool project phone. The only thing that worries me about it is someone is probably going to see this project and go, "That is perfect," and just start buying parts and then build it. And realize that there's not much they can do with it because it's a Raspberry Pi.
Also, you can't carry it with you. I mean, there's absolutely no way you could take this out and have rain be a potential. You know, have it up to your head when it's raining outside.
I didn't even think about that. Like
the case would basically just melt in your hands if that happened.
Dude.
Also,
could you imagine taking a phone call out in the rain with this thing? The boards start getting soggy.
Yep.
That, and I mean seriously, because it's so big, it's going to be unwieldy to hold up to your head. So if you,
it's a tablet. It's a tablet on your head.
No, man. You'd be better off holding a tablet. This thing's also thick. So it's not just big; it's also thick.
True.
So I mean, it had to be really well put together, because if you drop that thing, it's just going to come apart in little bitty pieces.
Oh, also, I didn't even think about this. You could totally convince someone that you're like a time traveler if you took this phone out, stop taking a call and put it down, like brought it down, and then asked someone what year it was, like. Oh, I'm done. I'm convinced you're from the future. Like someone using a plyboard phone.
And they probably would think that's the time machine. That's definitely the time machine. That's great.
The time machine to the past of cell phones.
The one bright side is that today I learned that they make 4G LTE hats for the Pi.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. I wonder how much, just if you wanted to buy one of those things, how much it would cost.
I have a Raspberry Pi 4.
I mean,
I think they're in the range of like $60 to $80. I'm pretty sure.
So the 4G modem would cost more than the Pi if the Pi weren't being scalped for astonishing amounts of money.
Yeah,
that's nuts.
Yeah, it is 82 pounds for the 4G hat.
Yeah.
I found that off of the Pi Hut, which is a UK store.
It would still be pretty cool. Like, let's say you wanted to have like a weather station or something like that, like a mile away from your house. You couldn't pick up Wi-Fi, but you could have like a weather station there, and you could do it that way. That'd be pretty cool. I mean, there'd definitely be some uses for that.
And if you add a 4G hat, for example, and you want to set up let's say a balcony computer, a small balcony computer when it's not raining.
I mean, the problem with setting up any Raspberry Pi as a computer or a phone is it literally doesn't even have the horsepower to play a 720p video.
Well, that's why they're good. They're good
because they don't have hardware acceleration.
Yeah.
The Pi actually does have a hardware acceleration, and it can play back 720p.
Mesa.
It's just that it can't do 720p 60 FPS. It can do 30 FPS.
Well, but like that's my point. Like, as soon as and also if you take it up to 1080p 30, it's technically speaking on paper.
And even then, that's just YouTube. If it's local media playback, it can do 1080p all day.
There are many boards that surpass that Raspberry Pi. That Raspberry Pi now is of the past, unless you want to do the small kind of things. Now more powerful boards exist. not for the same price, but with the way it's being scalped today, you can find cheaper today.
You can
for
find
10
cheaper
times more
boards that
power.
have more powerful hardware, but you might
Yeah.
not be able to find one with the same level of software support. And that's
yeah,
the big
software
deal with
support.
Raspberry
That's the
Pi.
biggest problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
But with the Orange Pi is almost as popular as
Well, the only
Raspberry
reason
Pi.
the Orange Pi is very popular is because it's literally a board knockoff. Like it's pretty much 1-to-1 compatibility. So
yeah,
Not quite though,
And-
because the Orange Pi doesn't support PoE, which is one thing that I'm really looking for.
My point is that the reason why the Raspberry Pi has always been good wasn't because it was going to come in and replace your desktop computer, because it was really good at doing single-use things like a weather station or
retro gaming.
again, like to bring it back to this article, in this use case, it doesn't make sense because sure, local media playback, it's going to be fine. For pretty much, any reasonable quality, especially on the screen that you're going to be playing the media on, it's going to be fine.
Well, it's not even that. It's the battery life.
Well,
that's the real
This
drawback.
would have made a lot more sense if it was a dumb phone instead of trying to be a smartphone. If they just made it just a phone, all it did was make phone calls, and it had like a
we already have Linux-based smartphones that are fully open source. So
display or something like that, just so you could see the numbers or whatever, and that's all it did. First of all, it wouldn't have to be as thick. Second of all, it wouldn't have to be, it wouldn't be as cool. Don't get me wrong.
No. Wait. This is using a Raspberry Pi 4.
It's using a Pi 3.
Pi 3.
Pi 3. Okay.
Probably couldn't get a 4.
It's using a Pi 3. Why not use the Pi 3 has a version that is just a slim thing.
The Pico?
You'd have even less horsepower then. Yeah, and also again,
would a Pico run one of the screens?
I don't know. Can a Pico even run a display?
Yes. I know the Pi. I believe the Pi 03. I don't know if they have a new version of the Pi 0, but I'm pretty sure the
02W.
There's Pi 3.0. The W version. I'm pretty sure the last time I looked at it, it had I think it's like a micro HDMI port or like whatever. Like mini HDMI micro. Like
the Pi 02W.
It's also possible that the Pico doesn't run well with the 4G hat. It's
that's true. That's true. That could be. That could be it. I'm sure there's some level of processing that's kind of required for that, and those Pi Zeros have. I mean, they are just.
Then if you go back up,
the Pi Zero does support HDMI.
If you go back to the exploded view here, all the stuff that they're plugging into that thing probably wouldn't all fit into a Pico.
That is also true. I don't think it has the camera board and everything like that. But again,
I can't believe they even included the camera.
But I think the important thing to remember about this design and why all of the other Linux phones that are on the market are pretty much worthless compared to this is they're all made out of garbage materials that try to protect the inside of the components. This thing is made out of plyboard. Like, if you break it, who cares? You can just build another one in 5 minutes.
No, because if you break this thing, something inside is going to get broken too. I mean, because there's no padding for any of that stuff. It's going to get knocked into each other. And
it's fine. The only thing that's not replaceable is the Raspberry Pi itself, because you can't buy them.
Right.
Well,
so here's because they don't really show the ends. Excuse me. Do they leave?
Well, the article does link to the guy that created its write-up, which he links to a GitHub that has a listing of all the parts.
Do they leave the I/O exposed so you can have like a USB-A port on the end of your phone? No. That would have been awesome. Just plug in like a printer or something.
I didn't even think about that. Would be pretty cool just to have open USB ports on your phone.
Like, and then if you wanted to hook up to a display, because they probably use because they'd be using. Is there an internal display? Is that how they're hooking up to the displays?
If they were using a Raspberry Pi 4, there would be two display outputs, so they could use one for the internal screen is actually hooked up on the board, so that HDMI port is free. So
it's using the embedded display port header for the touchscreen.
Yeah, so you could just plug
you could
in,
put this
plug
on
it
your thing, and use this as a regular Pi, help cook to a monitor as well.
Yeah.
That's
Not only that, if on the page where on his write up, he has more pictures, and I'm looking at one. The volume is a volume knob.
Oh, it's an actual knob. All right.
That's
It's an actual knob.
So first of all, I know we're taking the mickey out of this in some place, but this would be you can just see like a kid in like high school or something like that with a science fair thing doing this. That'd be awesome.
dude.
Yeah.
He'd win.
If I had this in like middle school to like early high school, oh, this shit would have been dope.
He's getting
like,
all the girls, by the way.
Dude, no, like I wouldn't have seen a girl for like ever holding one. Dude, could you imagine trying to pick up a girl with this thing? Hold on, babe.
Can I get your number?
Dude, you also got to think about this. The touchscreen, like there is 99% chance it's a resistive touchscreen.
So you got to press really hard.
Let
You
me
know,
see
whip
if I
out
can
your
find
phone and whip out a
screen. Give me a
stylus,
second.
type in her phone number.
Give me a
on,
second
babe.
here.
Give me
See if I
one
can find the screen.
God, you remember the resistive touch screens on like the PDAs and stuff that you used to have? Oh man.
Oh my God! Every time you press with the stylus, it created this rainbow effect that spun outwards.
Dude,
Oh, my
I
Lord.
I actually have a 12-inch touchscreen that was a resistive touchscreen, and I actually used to use it as like a dedicated Google Calendar.
that's
That
pretty
thing
cool.
was so bad.
I have a Dell PDA lying around here somewhere that had a resistive touchscreen. It had the best game I've ever played on it. It was back when it was like that ball popping game, but it was one of the best ones ever. It was great.
It has a stylus. It has a stylus lock. Power switch.
I can't.
Oh my God! The power switch is.
When I saw this story that Tyler put in here, I was like, we're gonna spend like 3.5 minutes on this thing. We just nerded out for like 20 minutes on this. It's awesome. It's very.
The
great.
wonderful thing is because this case is made out of MDF, which does have a consistency of cardboard and paper in it. That means that you can use a standard pencil to write down your phone number. That way you remember.
Oh my. That is actually really cool. That is actually really cool. Like, you just write the phone numbers of the people you want to call around the phone.
Yep.
That's actually
There's no need for a contacts application because the case itself is the contact list.
It would be cool to see like a version 2 of this that wasn't MDF, but instead was made out of 3D printed plastic. Because then it would be a little bit more sturdy. It'd still be just as big. You're not gonna make this thing smaller.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah,
though.
because it's a Raspberry Pi.
Yeah, it's not, like, unless you could find a way to use a Pico.
I do vote that we move on before we continue joking about this for the next hour.
We could definitely. All right, Josh, why don't you take us to the next one?
All right. I imagine that this is going to trigger somebody, but there is a proposal out there for the Fedora KDE spin of Fedora, obviously, to drop X11 support entirely and just go Wayland only. This was just posted. This was just posted 2 days ago by Neil Gampa, the KDE maintainer for Fedora, and he posted a merge request upstream in Plasma to set Wayland to be the default session for SDDM. It's coming, guys.
The biggest hurdle for this is actually SDDM. By the way,
Well,
SDDM
not actually. I tried SDDM-Git. Like Josh recommended before I traveled, it didn't even work. I was still not able to log into Wayland. So I was like, screw that.
But yeah, like I said, SDDM is the biggest hurdle because SDDM is garbage. It's bad.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't work on
Well,
the time.
So is LightDM.
Well,
so is LightDM.
That's
it
true.
works for 30% of the people, then 70% it doesn't work.
It's fine. It's Fedora. Fedora will make it work, and then make everybody else jealous that Fedora has it working, but nobody else does.
Nobody else can. Not does. Can.
Why can't I log into Wayland on GNOME using GDM, and I cannot log in with anything else.
SDDM in traditional KDE fashion tries to do both Wayland and Xorg at the same time, whereas GDM sets the Wayland by default.
I do
and you
know.
have to change it.
I do know that if you log into if you're using the Fedora KDE spin and you log into Plasma using Wayland, there is no X11 fallback. So in it right now. So if you want to use a Wayland only session, you can do that with Fedora KDE, and that's just because the maintainer for it has worked diligently hard on the Wayland support for Fedora. So props to Neil if like this actually happens and it actually works. Because
I mean, I do have to be honest; they have really good arguments.
Yeah, he has slaved way hard to get KDE ported to Wayland.
I mean, pretty much, from what I can tell, they've got all the major pieces there. I mean, the only reason that this would be bad news for somebody is if you use Fedora KDE and a piece of software that you use literally cannot run on Wayland, and for some reason, X Wayland is not an option for you.
And like Matt here, you can't get
Wayland
screen recording to work.
Wayland hates me.
Yeah.
No. See, the thing
it
about
hates me too. It hates both of us.
Screen recording works fine in like GNOME and probably would work fine in KDE. It's when I try to branch out into a window manager that I can't get to work, and that's just because the portals things. Okay, so. Let me just get into that. So I tried Hyperland. I installed Hyperland on, I think I was still on my first install of Arch after I left Redcore. I installed Hyperland, got Hyperland up and running, figured it out, and was having a good time. But then I installed the Flatpak version of OBS because I always install the Flatpak because it's the official version, and I'm all about rules. So I installed the problem that I was having, according to the Hyperland guys, is because of the containerized nature of the Flatpak. That was what was preventing me from getting the screen recording to work. I never actually went back and tried it.
Wait. What you're saying is if someone is using Hyperland or a Wayland based thing, they should stay away from containerized Flatpaks
of OBS.
If you're using the container to record your screen, yes, because to record the screen, the program needs to be able to interact with the system Paul kit to get authentication. Because what should happen is when you go to record a screen, on Wayland, you should get a pop-up that asks you which screen you want to record, and
which I did get, by the way. That came up. The button just didn't work to select the screen.
Yeah.
They didn't fix that yet.
What the issue is that the desktop portal is just not able to pass the permission to record the screen to the Flatpak because of the containerization of the Flatpak.
Yeah.
So they didn't figure that out yet.
Well, no, it's not something that they can figure out. Like,
I'm wondering if you just went through and flipped on every single permission in FlatSeal for OBS, if that would solve the problem.
Yeah, it wouldn't. It's a direct conflict of it being a container.
Because there's a Polkit there's a Polkit permission inside of FlatSeal.
Well, it's the actual portal not being able to translate between the two. They need to be able to accept the permissions.
Yeah, that's something that somebody's. I don't care if it's OBS or whoever. That's definitely going to have to be something that's going to be fixed because that's a big deal.
Yeah, they need to fix that because at some point Wayland is going to become the default thing, and if Flatpaks
they obviously have fixed it because the Flatpak works fine in Wayland GNOME, works fine in Wayland KDE.
Yeah, it's just an issue with the WL roots implementation, which is hopefully something that they are working on.
That's what the Hyperland custom desktop portal is built off of. So it's just not going to work. And the thing is like WL roots could change and it fix it, but most likely it's probably going to be something that's implemented by Vaxery, like most likely. But,
most likely, yeah. I was going to say that.
But also, if we're being completely honest, I have seen some pretty convincing arguments that it's not really a job of the actual desktop portal to fix this. It should be on Flatpak and the way it like flat seal and it functions with the system.
Also, OBS needs to do a better job of supporting Wayland out of the box. I mean, you can't, especially in certain situations where you have to set that stupid environment variable if you're switching back and forth, right? You know what I mean? You have to set the environment variable to tell it to use Wayland. That shouldn't be a thing, right? It should just be able to recognize, hey, I'm using Wayland now. Let's do the Wayland thing.
It's also dependent on how the distro package maintainers are actually implementing their specific version of Wayland. Because when you install well, not Wayland but OBS, but when you install OBS Studio, you're not installing, unless you're compiling it from source, you're technically installing a fork of OBS. So it's literally dependent on the package maintainer at that point.
Well, that's why you always use the Flatpak, because that comes directly from OBS. That's their official package, the one that they maintain.
Yeah, then you shouldn't need to pass a flag to it. I don't know why why you have to.
It just doesn't work. I don't know. It's really stupid. Anyways, let's bypass my woes with Wayland, because obviously it's not a Wayland problem. It's a Matt problem. I'm too stupid to do it. Anyways, let's go ahead and move on to mine, and I'm going to talk about Mozilla, because of course I am. When don't I like Steve talks about Zero Linux all the time because he's the maintainer. He's got his topic, and Josh talks about Gen 2, and I'm the Mozilla guy apparently, because it seems like every other week I talk about Mozilla.
You're the Zilla guy. You're the Zilla guy.
Love them.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It's fantastic. So I'm going to show you this inside of Vivaldi. So Mozilla has this. So we heard back in December that they're going to set up their own Mastodon instance, and I think we may have talked about it on the podcast. I don't even remember. It didn't seem like that big of a deal, because I mean, like, everybody's setting up their own Mastodon instance, and whatever. But
Vivaldi did, yeah.
Yeah, Vivaldi did. A lot of corporations are doing it, and it's fine. It's the new hotness thing to do. But then I was reading this article on The Verge, and it seems that Mozilla has higher aims than just setting up a Mastodon server. They're actually thinking that they're going to try to solve the problems of the internet. Based on the way this article's written, I'm not sure if they're actually, if this is just, spin or whatever, but apparently they want to start, really moderating their instance and making sure that it's all, nice people being nice to each other, and it's going to be a utopia of, no assholes anywhere, and it's just Mozilla. First of all,
if it helps, I did sign up for an account.
Did you? I can't even begin to tell you, Mozilla, how impossible it is for you not to have assholes on your. I mean, Josh just joined.
I don't.
I mean, so far the only rule that I've seen is don't harass other people.
Well, which
is fine, because
it's also part of their rules that you can't spread misinformation or disinformation.
Yep.
Who gets to decide what information and disinformation is?
Yeah,
also, you're going to be relying on what I'm assuming are going to be volunteer moderators. I mean, are they actually going to be spending money on moderators? I mean,
we'll find out.
And if they are spending money on moderators,
but also, like, see, this is what I don't understand. Like, this is exactly why, this seems like the exact same story that happened with Bud Light. Like, they just literally had no idea who their target audience was. And I thought, like, correct me if I'm wrong, because maybe I'm just, like, completely stupid, but isn't Mozilla a company that's for a free and open internet?
Yeah.
Yeah. Supposedly.
So, like, what... Just to make sure I'm not completely delusional here, if you censor and ban people from speaking,
well,
wouldn't that be not free and open?
There's a third tenet to Mozilla now, because what they are for a free and open internet, but they're also for a free and open and safe internet.
Oh, by adding safe makes it all okay, right?
Yep.
Wait, but see that doesn't
Safe,
even make
safe
sense.
you have to censor.
No, but the main reason why Mozilla is setting up this Mastodon instance is because Mozilla got a lot of harassment off of Mastodon one day and wound up closing their account.
Because of that had something to do with a police officer
Now,
that they hired for something.
Of course, you got two kinds of Mastodon instances. You have the free speech extremist ones. I think there's actually one called free speech extremist that's banned up from basically like all the other ones that does no moderation whatsoever, because that's the true internet. And then you got the other ones where they're super heavy-handed. Mozilla wants to be the one in the middle.
Yeah, it sounds more like they wanted to be super heavy-handed, but
wait,
they want to be in the middle.
So
you want to be in the middle?
Honestly, though, what Mozilla just needs to do is they just need to spin up this Mastodon instance and then just turn off Federation.
Well,
because that's the only way they're going to be as successful in this endeavor.
You are right, but see what perplexes me about this is a company that we constantly talk about not being able to like appropriately like
manage their money,
their resources.
Yeah.
And so they're essentially going to spend manpower and resources moderating essentially a Discord server.
Yeah.
A whole social network of their own. Okay, so
massive Discord server.
Here's the thing about. Go ahead, Steve.
They're gonna do it I'm too scared that they might do it and start only leaving in the stuff that are pro Mozilla and censoring everything that's against Mozilla.
Yeah.
Oh, that is going to be the least of the censoring that goes on there.
Well, okay. So there's many aspects of this that bother me. Some of it is that they're going to be relying on moderators who then have the power to decide what is and isn't misinformation, which is, that depends on their knowledge. It's possible that you could say something that's absolutely true. They have no idea about it, so that they delete your stuff because they think it's false. But that's all beside the point. My biggest problem with this, and it's the biggest problem that I always have with Mozilla, exactly like what Tyler said, is they get this company does make some money. Okay, they do make some money. They also bring in an extraordinarily large amount of money from Google. Okay, but every single project that Mozilla does, every single one of them up until now has either had two purposes. One, preserving information in an open source fashion, or taking on projects that they think should be open source. Things like AI. They did that the voice one, the voice recognition one. Things that they want to have that were created as a proprietary thing, and then they made an open source version of it. So they've done that. That's always a good thing. Whether or not you think they should be in the metaverse or whatever, they have an open source metaverse, right? Mm-hmm. The other thing that the other type of project they always do is something that will try to bring in revenue of some kind, something to bridge the gap to try to get them less dependent on Google's money, right? Those are the two types of projects they have. And then there's this. This does neither of those things because Mastodon, already open source, it's already federated. It couldn't possibly get any more open if they tried. So it's not in that camp. And where's the money? They're not making money on this. They just
want to create a community where they have more control over.
Okay. Creating a community is fine. If they came on and said that this is a Mozilla community where people who are interested in the Mozilla projects can be a part of and stuff like that, that's fine. And I would be behind that. They probably have a Discord server or an IRC or something like that you can take part of. That would just be another version of that, right? But that's not what the Verge article and the way the quotes and stuff make it sound. It more sounds like they have actual mission statement behind this of, bettering the web and making a safe space for all the internet. Right?
Well, this is how.
To be honest, I don't think I think y'all are giving Mozilla as a company a little bit too much credit here. To me, what this reads like and what this sounds like is this was some team lead who they were getting moved to a different position, possibly going to be pushed out of the company. They needed something that they could pitch to upper management so that, they could keep a job and make it seem like they were useful and deserved a paycheck. And so they came up with this brilliant idea.
Just to think, somewhere inside of Mozilla headquarters, there's a group of at least 5 people that are the Mastodon team. They run the Mastodon instance. There's 5. Oh man.
There's 5 Discord mods.
That said, as a moderator of a Mastodon instance, I do see a lot of people joining Mozilla.social and then just constantly flooding all the other instances with bug reports. Because a lot of the issues that we deal with on Starnext.network, that's the one that I'm in. A lot of the times we deal with bug reports we can't do anything about because that user's on another instance and they've been federated in with us. So the only thing we can do is forward the report to the other instance, which most of the time does absolutely nothing.
Well, when they first announced the whole that they were going to create a Mastodon instance, I actually thought it was a good idea because one of the biggest problems that Mastodon instances have is being able to support an infrastructure for a lot of people. And Mozilla has lots of money, so they can easily have many servers spend thousands of dollars each month or whatever to run this instance and support a very large number of people. In theory, what they could do is pull some of the people away from Mastodon.social, which is the gigantic instance out there, and have it be a little bit more federated, so it's at least more people on different instances. That's the the best case scenario of what this was. But when I read what they're doing, it feels more like a pie in the sky waste of money because they're going to spend so much money on moderation. So sure, it needs to be moderated, but that's what you have volunteers for. You know what I mean? And maybe they are going to use volunteers. I don't know.
If we're being honest, it's going to be really hard for anyone to convince me that this is not just an excuse for someone to maintain a job when they shouldn't. I cannot imagine. Can you imagine earning a salary being a Discord mod? I'm not saying moderating a large server is not, a task, but a 40-hour a week.
It's not.
Depending on how big the instance gets, you might actually be paying those moderators.
Look at the Vivaldi instance. But look at the Vivaldi instance. It's full of Vivaldi is great. Vivaldi is awesome. Vivaldi is the best.
Well, you wouldn't join
the greatest.
You wouldn't join the Vivaldi instance if you didn't like Vivaldi. You're not gonna be the biggest Firefox shill and just the Vivaldi instance is definitely where I want to be.
I joined it, but out of curiosity. Now I don't even use that thing. Because I can still connect to it via the FOSS.
My question then is it because they're taking away the criticisms of Vivaldi, or is it just because the people on there happen to be fanboys?
They're fanboys.
All right. Well,
this fanboyism is non-constructive. And whenever
you can say
my problem is whenever you tweet a toot at Vivaldi, they're not useful. Their answers are not useful. They're bot style responses. So you're not in contact with real people.
I haven't even hooked up ChatGPT 4. Lazy POSs.
Yeah, but it's too much of a fanboyism, and I don't see the use for this because the way I see it in my head, Mozilla will be doing exactly the same thing as Vivaldi. Fanboyism. You talk to them, you get bot replies.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if that happens. I think that it's more likely to be bigger than the Vivaldi one. I think you're just getting such a small sample size.
Mozilla is bigger. Yeah,
a small sample size in the Vivaldi one. I think it's more going to be like the Fostodon one, where Fauceton's full of Linux fanboys because of course it is, right? I mean, you don't see a lot of Microsoft shills on the Fauceton instance. But it's a big enough instance where other conversations can happen. And that's probably where the Mozilla one will happen too. My question always is like, is this something that Mozilla should be focusing so much effort on,
No.
given the fact that their browser's subpar, you know?
No, I don't think so. But you have to, I see things like, I see a lot of people loving Mozilla and preferring Firefox to be the default browser on every distro under the sun. But those same people, they criticize to no end Mozilla.
Well, I use Firefox every day on many of my VMs and on my main machine, and I think it's a serviceable browser. But what I would challenge any of you guys to tell me is what is the last user-facing feature, like, and not like an underlying technology or whatever, but the last user-facing feature that Mozilla brought out to Firefox that was actually good.
It's been a while.
They made the tabs a little bit more squared and rounded.
Is it the
tab sync across devices?
Is it the they've had tab sync across devices for 10
tab sync
years.
Across devices. That was like years
now
ago.
it's prevalent.
It's always been prevalent.
Yeah, it's always been somewhat prevalent, but now it's super prevalent.
But like you can't even use that in their defense. That's like they did that a long time ago. It's not their fault. No one started using it.
Probably just proved my point that was a long time ago. The last feature I know that they for sure brought out that was a user-facing feature that everybody absolutely hated was the extensions menu.
I actually don't hate the extensions menu.
I despise it with a passion, but whatever. We don't need to get into that. Anyways, let's go ahead.
I even use Pocket, so.
Well, I use Pocket too, but not in Firefox. I use it as a standalone app on my phone.
Hold on. We can't move on from that. He can't just walk in here and drop a bomb like that. Just walk. What are you doing using Pocket?
It's a button that comes with my browser, and I don't have to install anything else.
Look, I thought we had all agreed that Pocket was something that Mozilla did that is a meh idea at best, and we weren't going to reward it.
First of all, they bought Pocket. Second of all, when they bought Pocket, their number one promise was eventually to make it open source. It's still not open source.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, who wants Pocket to be open? Like, who cares? Like,
well, I don't. I use it so little.
Well, the funny thing is, after Mozilla bought Pocket, reader mode became a thing on web browsers.
That is.
That's what Pocket basically is.
I didn't even think of it. That's so true.
Well, they have, and the big service now is Read Later or Read for Later or whatever it's called.
Yep.
That's the one that most people use. Most people don't use. Pocket used to be the thing, but now it's no longer a thing because once Mozilla touches something, it no longer can be the thing. Anyways, let's move on to the contact information before we jump into some more news. You can get in contact with us in any number of ways. The best way is probably to head on over to the website, which is thelinuxcast.org. There you'll find previous episodes all the way back to season 1, and you'll find blog posts there that I post every single week. All my blog posts are fantastic. You should definitely go read them. Leave a comment because I do have comments on my website. Unfortunately, you do require a GitHub account in order to leave one, so I'm sorry about that. I really wish the developer behind Utterances would actually make it so that you could use GitLab as well, but apparently GitLab does not have the feature that the comment section relies on, so that's sad. Anyways, the linuxcast.org is where you find all that stuff. Tyler is on the YouTube, and he's actually doing things on the YouTube. He has streams and he has videos, mostly game development, which is awesome. So you head on over there. He's youtube.com/ZanyOG. Steve is also on the YouTube. He's youtube.com/@ZeroLinux, 0 with an X, not a Z. You can find all of his other stuff on our website as well, so you can get all those other links. Josh is also on the interweb someplace at 10leej.com/stalker. You can find all of his contact information there. And you can contact all of us via email at thelinuxcast.org. And I'm sure, you can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/thelinuxcast. And then subscribe.
I have a challenge for everybody that's in chat right now. And if you're listening in later on the podcast, just verify that all of our contact information works. Click on all the links and send us all poop emojis, please.
Thank you for that.
We just need to make sure that it works because we don't receive a lot of feedback, and we want to make our show better.
We get emails every single week.
I'm glad that we get emails every single week, but I only ever see the ones that you share with us.
That's true because I'm I hoard things. Anyways, you can find all of this stuff at the linuxcast.org/contact. Subscribe to Linuxcast at youtube.com/linuxcast. Thanks everybody who does that. We do record this live every Saturday around 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. So if you want to watch us live, head on over to the Linuxcast channel on YouTube and hit subscribe and hit the bell notification so you can get notified when we do go live. You can also find out about our live shows and stuff like that if you join our Discord server. Those are links, again, on the website if you want to find those. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to...
1 second.
Hold on a second.
Sorry to cut you off, but I just got informed that GNOME 44 just landed on Arch.
Yep.
Breaking news. I have
3
never
months
found...
after Gen 2 released it.
I have never found a piece of breaking news that I cared about less than that right there. It had nothing to do with you, Steve. I just, GNOME sucks.
As a distro maintainer, I had to say that.
I'm not day 0G. Good thing you're releasing the new ISO for it.
Look, boys, do not let Matt deceive you here, okay?
Not this again.
It's not just that GNOME is meh. He's not interested. He's a Gen 2 guy now. It's all.
First of all,
he's been using
I'm no longer a Gen 2 guy. I failed that challenge. Second of all, I'm still not a GNOME guy, no matter what Tyler says.
Dude, you just are. Like now,
I mean, I might be using KDE right now, but I still have a lot of GNOME applications installed.
Like, look, Matt and Josh are trying to convince us they're not using Gen 2. Like, but trust me, if you see a recording of their desktop and it doesn't look like Gen 2, that's because it's in a VM inside of their beautiful Gen 2 install. They absolutely refuse to leave. Like,
he just thinks by showing us the stuff, like his NeoFetch, that's going to prove to us anything.
Yeah, this is inside of a VM. We all know it. It's all good.
Like, you realize how easy it is to fake a NeoFetch? Like, all you gotta do is type in the information and have it echo it. Fine.
Well,
Not that I've ever done this.
Hang on a second here. Hang on. Are you saying I just need to cat out the Etsy OS release then?
I still
no, because that still will be faked. Like, we know you, Josh. This is a VM.
Oh, it is a VM? Okay, just wanted to check.
All right.
Yes.
All right, let's go ahead, guys. Seriously, damn you, Steve, for getting us off topic and your good GNOME bullshit. All right, Steve. Speaking of Steve, why don't you tell us what your second link of the week was?
Steve.
I don't have any links, so
that's right.
He
doesn't have links.
It's fine because
Josh,
I'll take it here. So if you're a big Unix hero, you believe in the Unix philosophy, and believe that you should pipe all of your commands together to make one giant command that does everything. Well, Linux 6.4 made your pipes 10 to 23% faster. Or no, 10 to 23 times faster. So it seems like a minor improvement. However, the Linux kernel has a lot of pipes involved in it. So overall, this is actually a big performance improvement for your system as a whole.
Wait, hold on. Can we just stop there for a second? I believe a potential of up to a 23 times multiplier.
Yes.
In performance on anything is going to be a noticeable improvement.
Is it though?
Yeah.
Like, I suppose if you add them all up, given the fact that the Linux kernel has a whole bunch of pipes in it, as Josh so eloquently put, there's a lot of pipe in it. Sorry. I got up at 4 o'clock this morning, had to watch someone put on a hat. I can't help it. I'm silly as shit. Anyway.
Well, you guys didn't know that's where the term laying pipe comes from.
Yeah. So I'm just thought experiment. If you have a whole bunch of pipes, the more pipes you have, the more time you're going to save. So that's when it's going to become more noticeable in that situation. If you just pipe something into grep, you're not going to notice. right?
You're not really going to notice because pipes in general are a function of your shell, which most shells are. Well, the most popular one being Bash or ZSH, but I'm talking like down to like the core system shell, which is well refined and relatively fast as it is. It's when you chain a bunch of pipes together.
Which
So
you're not supposed to do, by the way.
well, you're not supposed to do it in a shell scripting sense, but if you're using Xorg, this is where you get to see the benefit because the Xorg toolchain just to launch DWM involves a series of 213 pipes.
Well, no, hold on, because we're going off on the weeds here for a second, but I think we do have to address it. Look, that is a scenario that doesn't count and shouldn't be brought up, and here's why. If the only use case where the performance is, especially in user land, relevant, is something that's poorly implemented from the get-go and should have been redesigned 20 years ago, doesn't count.
No, I think Josh's saying that that's pretty much the behavior across the board in a lot of situations.
Yeah.
But if Terminal for Life was here, he'd explain to us why piping into a pipe is bad practice. But maybe that is just for scripting. But it seems like the same rules would apply for everything. That you're spawning subshells over and over again every time you do that, which is why it actually costs you resources when you do that. Maybe that's what they fixed. Maybe they make that less punitive. Because you keep spawning subshells. See, TFL thought he never taught me anything. He taught me that. Like, I remember that. Don't ask me to write a bash script, but I remember that part. Anyway.
I'm still waiting to get permission from him saying that I can upload his entire channel to a PeerTube instance. Yeah. Because I've got his entire channel on my server.
I don't think he'll let you, but I hope he does because I like to go watch some of his old videos. Anyways. Yeah. It's interesting that they've made this faster. I would want.
Either way, they made a function faster, which means that everything's going to be faster, even if we don't really even notice it ourselves.
Yeah.
It's like the difference between
Phoronix. Get on it, man! I want you to benchmark Linux after this change and show us how much faster it is.
Well, actually, if you read the article, the guy that wrote the patch did benchmark it for us.
But that was just one. That was just one function, right? Not the whole system.
It was 120. It was 128 pipes that does 256 rounds of reading and writing.
Okay.
And it was run 10 times.
Run 10 times and averaged out. And so the average before the patch 262 milliseconds, and then
after the patch 24.
Yeah, 24. If you go down, there's another test, average 250 milliseconds after 10.86 milliseconds. Like, it's a pretty damn big improvement.
Yep.
Cool. All right, Tyler, I think you got the next one.
Yes. So mine is about RISC-V. Because I guess I'm slowly turning into a RISC-V fanboy, even though I don't have any RISC-V hardware and I am not looking to get any, but I'm interested in it. But yeah, so a big thing about RISC-V has just been there's features that it just lacks at a hardware software level. Integration wise, and finally we've got hibernation and suspended disk support, which a freaking time.
Why do people like hibernation?
Let's just pause for a second and explain that it's great that they have this feature, but Linux does hibernation and suspended disk just crappily across the board. So don't hold your breath on this being very good.
Yes, but even crappy hibernation is better than none when it comes to a laptop or like a battery powered scenario.
Laptop, okay, but I'm talking about when people, like, I have a user on my server, like today, he was messing with something called key states and whatever, and he wanted to get hibernation to work on Linux very well. Well, I'm like, hey, you have a desktop. Why do you need to hibernate your desktop? It's not like it's running off of a battery now, is it?
Well,
So
there could be a lot of reasons for it. One reason is when you do hibernate your PC because of just the way a computer functions, there's less power running through the CPU. So
Well, there's effectively no power running through the CPU because everything is just saved to the disk. So there's no need for CPU to do anything.
So effectively zero.
Yeah.
There's still some, but so there's less wear and tear on your actual hardware, and also.
But you got the other people on the other side who leave their computers turned on 24/7. 365 days a year.
Yeah, I mean, again, we're not talking about.
So I do that with this computer here, but I just have the monitors go to sleep. Okay, and we've talked about the monitor going to sleep problems many times in the past, right? The computer that sits behind me, that one's in hibernate mode. It's hibernating right now, and that's because I don't want it to be on all the time, but I want to be able to. I don't. Every time I decide I want to go stand at the standing desk for a few minutes, I don't want to have to wait for it to turn on. So
wait. There is plenty of reasons.
I've done hibernation before, and waking it up from hibernation takes almost as long as turning it on from dead sleep.
Just get a faster drive.
Yeah, you need a faster drive.
Yeah, it is suspend the disk rather than suspend the RAM. So the wake up time for your hibernation is dependent on the speed of your storage drive. So if you're using a hard disk, then yes, it will probably take a while.
All I gotta do is go over there, hit the space bar, and it turns on in the matter of like 3 seconds. You know,
I've never had that happen.
Back to the main point, there's a lot of reasons that someone would choose to do it, and like two big ones that we also didn't cover is also just sheer power. You can, depending on how beefed up your computer is, putting into hibernate mode could actually save you like 2 or 3 like light bulbs worth of electricity just constantly being on. And on top of that, there is also people who are on more off-grid setups or generator setups, and in that case, hibernation is pretty lit because the battery lasts longer.
You knew how to phrase that because you knew my situation.
We did kind of meander from the topic, but so it is nice that RISC-V is finally getting this. And I think what the best part about it isn't even that the features have come, is that the fact that they're continually adding support in the Linux kernel. It gets
these features faster than the Raspberry Pi ever did.
Well,
yes.
Part of that is because of the more open nature of the CPU architecture. Linux, of course, is going to support it more than the closed source nature of the CPU and the Pi, right?
But you have to wait. When you said that the hibernation is craptastic on Linux, but can you say the same about the Steam Deck? Because it's got the best hibernation ever on Linux.
Well,
there's some kind of magic sauce there, dude.
No, actually they don't, because as far as I know, someone can correct me if they want to do their own testing, but the battery life is actually better on Windows with the exact same settings comparatively. And that is only because Linux does not do power management as good as Windows does, sadly.
Well, the battery life on the Steam Deck is shite anyways. It's bad.
Well, yes. And also,
as far as I know, it's about as good as the Switches, which, the Switch isn't anything impressive either.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
it is pretty much.
You don't buy the thing for... and have like a full PC in your hand, expect it to have fantastic battery life. And if you did buy that expecting that, you were a fool.
Okay. I'm gonna contradict you. I'm gonna contradict you, Matt. I've had the Steam Deck with me since I went to on my travels. 10 days, right? It's been hibernating for 10 days. Didn't touch it. It stayed in my suitcase all 10 days. I'll tell you what the battery life is.
Is it going to turn on?
Yeah.
That's actually surprising because I'm pretty sure course, mine gets
It
left.
doesn't look like it's turning on. Oh, there we go. It is turned on. Okay.
All right.
Okay. Does it have enough battery to get to a display that tells you the battery?
Oh yeah.
I will show you 10 days because I turned it on before I came here. The battery. What's showing now? Hey, don't show the curtain. Ow!
Oh,
It's
Oh my God! You made me flinch there. I thought that thing went completely out of frame for like 1 or 2 frames. I thought that thing had hit the floor. I was like, oh God, here we go.
All right, guys, we seriously got to end this podcast.
The battery is how
there's
96%.
Nice.
And we were complaining about it. Mine doesn't do that.
Yeah.
10 days. It was sitting in the box for 10 days.
Mine has been sitting over there for 3 days. It's already dead. Anyways, guys, we got to move on. We have one more left to go. Debian's apt 2.7 packaging tool has begun rolling out a snapshot support. So basically what this is that, as far as I can understand, I got to remember there's like, 200 words maybe in this entire article, so there's not a lot of detail. And even if you click on the merge request, there's not a lot there. They just want to add -- snapshot and -- update support to apt. Now, this is apt, the broader sense of apt, not just apt get, as far as I can tell. Josh, you know everything. This apt and apt get are 2 separate things, right?
They're both actually relatively the same product. Apt does call into apt-get, which apt-get does sometimes seem to call into aptitude. The project and scope is referred to as apt.
Okay.
In total, because it is the primary package manager or the primary front end to depackage.
I always get confused because they have 3 different names for it.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like if you have 3 different names for something, you assume that there's some differences. But anyways, the snapshot tool, from what the brief, I mean, very, very brief thing that the Phoronix thing talks about, is basically what it's going to allow you to do is save the packages that you're installing, not the actual packages, but I'm assuming it's the packaging name.
It's the mirror snapshot that you get when you run apt update. So it's basically the database, not the actual package itself.
And they're going to save that so that you can, at least in theory, revert back and using update to go back to certain packages and stuff. It's interesting because obviously the idea behind snapshots is one that we've talked about before on the podcast, with ButterFS and ZFS and stuff like that. Have we ever seen a package manager actually build in its own snapshotting system before?
I don't think so.
I know on Gentoo you can install older versions of packages, so you can roll back packages.
Well, I mean, you
Arch
can,
Linux you can as well.
You can use downgrade on.
Yeah.
Why would you even bring up Gentoo? Gentoo makes the whole conversation irrelevant. It's like trying to compare Earth to heaven.
Well, of course.
Most package managers have the ability to downgrade. They also, and some of them have the ability to install old versions.
Yeah,
like if you wanted to install an old version of Flatpak, you can.
The thing is, I don't believe that once you ran an apt update, you could no longer downgrade a package.
Maybe that's what this is just a way to go backwards.
Yeah, I might be wrong on that, but I think that's what this is.
Yeah, like I said, it's surprisingly how little data there's actually is about what they're actually talking about here. Because even if you go to the merge request, the merge request itself is
this adds this feature and this feature, and then it's just commit logs after that.
Yeah, that's
literally what I did. I went to check it out, and I'm like, oh well, this explained
absolutely nothing. Where Phoronix even got, they had to have looked at the code in order to get the information that they did have. So yeah, apt is adding something. This is going to come from Debian first, so it'll be interesting to see what this actually does when they.
It's great when Debian introduces a new feature and Ubuntu doesn't have to introduce it for them.
Yeah, usually it is upstream. Yeah. Anyways, it'd be interesting because they're calling them snapshots, not downgrades. Is what caught my attention because.
Snapshots is like, isn't it like the snapshots that you add for ButterFS?
No, it's not. It's not like that at all.
It's just going to be for packages, not files and directories. But it's going to be like Josh said. It's going to be the database. So it makes you think it's more like downgrades than it is like a snapshot. But they're calling it snapshots, which is why it's confusing.
I mean, it does make sense. It is
the
a
way it's
snapshot.
being mentioned is like, to me, it makes me think about keeping a permanent cache of all previous versions of the
which
package.
Well,
Arch
I mean,
does,
that's
and I think Apt does
essentially-
too. Apt creates a cache of stuff, but I don't think it's I don't think it's the same. It's just literally going to be a list of the user
Yeah,
installed
it's
packages.
just a repository list. That's all it is. Just
Yeah.
keep.
But
It
it's
just
like
keeps that.
it's like DPKG, not DPKG. What is the Debian? It might be DPKG dash list or something like that lists out all of the packages that you have on site. It's basically going to be that, I guess. First of all, you guys should be very impressed with the fact that I haven't used Debian in probably a year and a half to do anything, and I remember DPKG dash list. Probably doesn't even exist. I'm just making it up. Anyways.
Well, it's literally just a snapshot of the database that you pull in whenever you run like an apt update. The update command will go in, it'll index the mirrors and pull in the latest greatest package listing. That is the listing of the available packages from the mirror.
Well,
All this
except
all
for
this is just a way to snapshot that listing.
well, no, it's gonna be a snapshot of what's on your system, not of the repository. So you could go, I think, right?
I think you
would
got
make
it wrong there
it would
because it
make
doesn't
a-
mention anything like that.
It'd make a hell of a lot more sense to have it as a thing on your list, other than the. Why would you want a backup of the repository in total? That wouldn't do you any good at all.
Well, no, but the repository does actually hold older versions of packages.
Right, but the reason why only way the word snapshot makes sense is if it's making a list of the packages you have installed on your system and the versions, and then could take you back to the previous versions of the previous list. Right? That's the only way that the word snapshots make sense. At least to me. We
got Alex in the chat. He's sitting there explaining it to us right now. He is a Debian developer,
There's a snap package,
and he says that makes it easier to install a package from a certain date. Which
it's actually,
in order to do that, you need the package listing.
I don't know. More information would have been nice in the actual merge request there, Alex, if you want to go talk to some of your buddies. Anyways, that's it for the news. Let's go ahead and move on to really quickly, guys, really fucking quickly. Thingies of the week. Josh, your thingy of the week.
It's called PlasmaTube. It's a KDE application for YouTube. Done.
Excellent.
You did a fantastic job, Josh. I think I'm going to do just as good. MX Master 3. It's a fantastic mouse.
I want one so bad. I want one so bad. But I can't afford it. $99. It's $99.
Trackballs
dude.
or bust, guys.
$99.
Yep.
$99. Give me one. Get me one.
Okay, Steve,
I can't even afford me another one.
Steve, do you have a thingy of the week?
Me, I have I do have a thing. Sorry, I do have a thingy of the week, and I didn't post it in the thing because I just got reminded of the podcast at the last minute. But my thingy of the week is Google Maps.
You're banned.
Sorry, it's a surprise to everyone.
It is honestly the best Google project right now.
Yeah,
it has helped me so much in Serbia. You cannot imagine, because the fact that I didn't have internet. I only had internet in the apartment, in the Airbnb, but outside there I didn't buy a line. Because I didn't want to spend money for temporary things.
Yep. But the GPS worked, no? Hey, yeah.
The GPS is fantastic, except there's a caveat. Everything with Google, there's a but, big but. I like big butts, and I cannot like. Sorry. The big but is that you have to connect on open the location on Wi-Fi, click the link to the location on Wi-Fi, then disconnect from Wi-Fi. It's kind of weird, but what if, I want to click a link when I am outside the house, for example, and I remembered a different link. I want to go to a different location. At this point, it's pointless because I don't have an internet connection on my phone to open a new link, a new location link, to navigate to there. So,
you would have been dead in the water if you'd been back in the early 2000s where you actually had to download the package maps or the maps package.
Well, I don't.
I still have a collection of maps.
Yeah,
you had to buy each city. It was like buying an atlas.
You know, you
it's like
the gas
buying those
station.
Or use an atlas or a map to find my family that was 2 miles away. I would live my life separated from my family. I would not know who they are.
Are you trying to say you don't know how to use a map? Is what you're trying to say?
No, what I'm saying is I know how to use one, but I'm so terrible at navigating. It's like I if it wasn't for my phone being able to tell me turn
which way left or right is with the arrows. He needs the arrows.
I'm so bad.
All right.
No. But Google Maps is amazing. It has helped me so much. It's a lifesaver. I tried Apple Maps because I'm an iPhone user. I tried Apple Maps.
Shit.
For some reason, it tells me to go right when I need to go left. I don't know.
Makes sense. All right. So
it also tells me I need to drive through a desert to get to work.
Yeah.
There's no desert within 1,000 miles.
I'm pretty sure there's not a desert in Ohio. I mean, I've been to Ohio a few times. I mean, not really the driest state in the world.
I mean, unless they're talking about that vast field between Lima and Toledo.
They're definitely talking about Sandusky.
What's wrong? I'm trying to buy a game. What's wrong? It's not loaded.
I don't have time to deal with your nonsense, Steve. I got to do mine, then I got to go. All right. Anyways, mine is interesting, given the fact that how absolutely opposed to AI I was last week. So mine is Whisper AI.
Are we gonna have transcripts for the podcast now?
We will have transcripts for the podcast. My previous 2 videos have closed captions from Whisper embedded in them, and it's pretty damn good. Now, you download it, you feed it an audio file and it uses FFmpeg to read the language and everything, and then it sits there for like 20 or 30 minutes, and it does the translation into actual text, but it also embeds the timestamps into it and everything, so you can upload the entire VTT file like to YouTube if you wanted to. And depending on what language model you use, the more CPU power it's going to take. So I use the medium language model, and it does a pretty good job. It does not like the word Gen 2, by the way. It spells it Gen and then the number 2. I had to fix that. but other than that, it does a pretty damn good job. I haven't tried the large language model or the extra large language model. I'm assuming those would probably set my computer on fire, given the fact that the medium one takes like 80% CPU performance. Like it's craziness. I kind of wish that they'd let you offset some of that to like the GPU. That'd be pretty sweet. And if you have like a video in like another language, you can use Whisper to translate it from that other language to English to a transcript. That's pretty cool. It does not do the other way around. That'd be awesome if you could take it from English and put it into like Spanish or something like that, because then I could put Spanish closed captions on my videos. But it doesn't do that as far as I'm aware.
I need to have my content like transcribed into Mandarin.
Well, I wasn't thinking.
I need your next video to be transcribed into Latin for me, please.
Pig Latin.
Because I do need to brush up on my Latin. It's been a while.
Definitely.
Don't worry.
I need to brush up on my on my Klingon.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Anyways,
YouTube.
Whisper. The links will be in the show notes. It's really, really cool. If you have any need to translate audio into text, it's fantastic. It's like the best and only good use of AI that I've ever found. So there's that. Anyways, that's it.
There's another good use.
I'm sorry, Steve. We've had this conversation. Someone had to go to Serbia last week. You missed it. Sorry, man. I really do have to go. Anyways, that's it for the podcast this week. If you guys want to support me on Patreon at patreon.com/LinuxCast, you can do so. Thanks to everybody who does support me on Patreon. You guys are all absolutely fantastic. Without your support, the channel would not be anywhere near where it is right now. So thank you so very, very much for your support. Again, as I said, thank you. Thanks everybody for watching. We record this live, as I said earlier, every Saturday around 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. Head on over to youtube.com/LinuxCast if you'd like to catch us live. We do have a fantastic time together. Usually, I'm not this rushed at the end, but today, I just gotta go. Anyways, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.